be a possibility of going back to tourism. We were down at tourism the other day, pursuing funding.
Well, that certainly would reach a lot of people with those, you mentioned CNN, Fox, and due to the fact that the city would have ownership of the piece after it's done, could maybe make something out of that. And I know they do a good job. I mean, obviously they're professionals.
One of the things that I pitched to them, talking about Wetumpka, and it's almost so much to talk about that it's hard to narrow it down to one thing, but we had an opportunity a few weeks ago to go to Lee Centel Tourism and make a pitch. Next year is the bicentennial of 1812 war. And we made a pitch, I think I mentioned it to a couple of y'all, and of telling the story. Janice named this before the Tears, before the Trail of Tears, when the Indians actually left here and went to Oklahoma. They handed us a piece of paper and said, if you fill out this piece of paper, you're going to get $10,000. Now that $10,000 is to write a script to tell the story. There are people who have an interest in this, people at Fort Toulouse who deal with this on a regular basis, helping get direction as to whomever that person is that needs to write this story, and then be able to present this drama, this play. Hopefully one day this play can be presented 2 or 3 days a week in some type of theater here, amphitheater, or whatever, that draws the tourists, that brings it in to be a part of everything else we're doing. Now, I did throw that out to them, and they really liked that aspect of the Indian history, Native American. And when Janice was filling out the paper, it had to have a name, and she came up with Before the Tears, which I thought was pretty catchy. So that's where we are. I would say at the most, if we got a 3-way split on this, you know, we're talking, what, 7, 6? About 6.5, something like that, $6,500.
Who the 3-way split?
Well, it'll be the Chamber of Commerce, the city, and with the Porch Creek Indians.
But the county.
County would possibly want to be a player in this.
And your state may come in as well.
Sir?
State may come in as well.
Yeah, and I think it's to go back to the state, because I have not taken this back to tourism. They were so receptive when we were there before. It was kind of scary, weren't they, Janice? But we just need to be able to say, hey, yeah, we would like to do something like this. If it did cost us as a city, you know, $5,000 to $6,000 for our part, but I think we can get the players in it.
Mayor, on a 7, 9 minutes, what do you think the
Yes,
time?
Yeah, somewhere in that range. I don't know exactly what it is. I think he may have said something to me in the interview about that, but I'm sitting there just trying to hit the highlights of what he's talking about. Terry Bradshaw, ex-Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, he is the one that does this show. And you can pull it up on, you know what their address is?
TodayInAmerica.com.
TodayInAmerica.com. Pretty cool stuff, you know, what they're putting out there.
I think that's a 30-minute show, and 7 minutes would be pretty average for a 7-minute show. For a 30-minute show, 7 minutes would be.
Do you know if they were able to guarantee times of the day when this would be aired? Did they give you a morning show?
I don't know. I figured that's where the attorney was going to be asking those questions. That would be in the contract, I'm sure.
You don't want to be buried in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Where there's stuff.
Let me ask, has anybody seen the show?
I've seen it.
10 o'clock at night, you said?
On Sunday nights, I think it comes on at 10.
There's a schedule on the internet.
Yes.
They have a
They
schedule.
air, yeah.
And the cost they're asking,
It's 19.8.
about 20K.
Now, they also have a side of it that they're covering. They'll send the crews in here over a period of time, and I think what they were looking at would be, if I can remember, I think they said March and April, or maybe April and May were the times that they would be in here doing it. They come in earlier and do some putting it together. Mr. Mask over here, I haven't even had a chance, this hit so quick. I think it was Friday that I actually had talked with him. How do you view it? How do you view it as a tool that can be used?
Well, the national exposure would be great. I agree with what Don said, the media guy over there too, just to be sure that we get the bang for the buck. But the national exposure is really good, so I think it'd be super. And the problem will be narrowing it down to what you want to focus on.
I think that's gonna be the biggest issue, is we have so much, is how you gonna narrow it down?
Well, how do you tell somebody of the crater when it's not a realized tourist destination yet?
Right.
I mean, you get the cart before the horse, you know?
Yeah.
How do we say, our downtown's the most beautiful thing when we're in the process of a redevelopment process? So, do you concentrate on the river? Where do you go with it? I mean, there's a story to be told, yes.
I think in not getting too deep into the crater, but just to say 85 million years ago, something horrific happened. That's the reason we look like we do today. That's the reason we have the whitewater rafting here and the rocks stick up in the river like they do. It's because of that, what happened at that point in time. But and I also think this 1812 business, could be a player in this. I don't know that you couldn't have the drama program going by then, but it's the fact that you are working to tell this story.
That's where the smart folks have put these kinds of things together, glean that information from us and put it together.
Be surprised how much they could do in a short amount of time. Like they could condense that, and I think their whole point is to draw attention and tease the viewer, and then let the viewer want to come see this area. Obviously, that's what we want too. Because once they get here, we can show off our beauty, and rich handsomeness. So we can do autographs.
Well, what I need is just one thing, is there an interest in it to allow us to pursue, take a step forward, and we can possibly raise all of them.
I say go for it. We want all the positive publicity we can get. The further we can get it around the southeast, and this may become a tourist destination for somebody.
Mayor, I think you need to check and see who else is going to participate in it, because I don't think the city needs to continue to foot a whole bill in county and state and other areas down there that not putting it in there. We, instead of digging out of treasure, I think before we go anywhere, you need to check and see who's going to participate and how they're going to pay.
Well, he's not really asking for the city to foot the bill. He wants to raise the money.
Yeah.
It probably won't cost us anything, hopefully. Is that right?
But the raise money, if they don't do it, then we got to raise for $20,000.
But we don't have to make a decision tonight. Yes, we're gonna spend money. We just give him the go ahead to do the.
I don't know. I don't know I guess what I was